Hey guys, Ultra Maximus here, and I lied to you. I said part 3 was going to be the final one, but I decided while I was cutting the video together that I really wanted to separate the final 5 films from the rest of the pack and really kind of devote some time to them. So without further ado, what I thought the top 5 films for 2012 were. Brave, the latest film from Disney and Pixar. Absolutely great movie, and surprisingly, and a lot of people are kind of surprised that I really dug this movie as much as I did. And I've actually had some people, why do you like this film so much? And I gotta say, it's very well written. It's funny. The talent in the film, brilliant. You've got Billy Connolly. You've got Helen Mirren, I think, is the mother, and Craig Ferguson is in the film as well. Just really great cast. It's brilliantly written. It looks phenomenal. Pixar, of course, keeps evolving their computer technology, and I gotta say, the hair on this little girl looks like doll hair to me when she's running around. And it's in 3D, looks great in 3D, and it harkens back to classic Disney stories. And I think this one really hits hard in the whole mother-daughter bonding kind of thing. My mother was a huge Disney fan. She got me into the Disney movies. And they're kind of hit or miss here lately. But this one really kind of goes back to, like, Bambi and Dumbo for me. Goes back to Pinocchio. That kind of Disney film. It really does. She's trying to convince her mother that she doesn't want to get married, and she gets turned into a bear, and they go through this whole ordeal, and it's just really nice. And it's one of the only Disney films that I think does not kill the mother off right away. Like in Finding Nemo and Bambi, all those films, Disney's got something against mom. I don't know what it is, but they do. But they don't in this one, and they save her, and it's really nice, and it's got tear-jerking moments and some hilarious moments. Great film. I think this is probably one of the best films that's been put out for little girls in a long time. I think she's a strong character. Little girls are going to like her. Little boys are going to like her. And, just on a film note, I think it's a good inspiration. I saw tons of Halloween costumes this year for Brave, and I think that's good. It's a wholesome, solid role model movie character that kids can go to. And in this horrible world that we live in today, it seems that it's nice to have such a bright point in films, and I think that's really what pushes me to enjoy this film so much. The Avengers. Of course, this is going to be in my list. I'm a big geek. If you watch my channel, you know that. I did like this movie. I went into this film with zero expectations and came out pleasantly surprised. There are flaws with the film. Mark Ruffalo as Dr. Bruce Banner, complete waste. They should have gotten Ed Norton back. I'm still irritated that they didn't. I don't know whether he was just a diva, it was money or scheduling, whatever the problem was. They should have worked it and got him in there, because Ruffalo just doesn't cut it. I don't like him, period. Once he becomes the Hulk, I'm fine with it. Everything's cool. The other thing is Jeremy Renner. I like him as an actor, but his character was almost pointless in this film. I did appreciate the fact they kind of went with the whole Black Widow and Hawkeye being the bad guys turned into good guys, because that's what Captain America did with his Avengers team in the 80s. He collected, Black Widow and Hawkeye and the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and they were all bad guys, and he reformed them into an Avengers team. And I do appreciate that. However, it just fell short for me. And Hawkeye didn't even have a costume. I didn't like that either. It just was really, really crappily done. But it was nice to see that they pulled the main characters, Captain America and Thor, Sam Jackson's Nick Fury, and of course Robert Downey Jr., who stole this movie, into one film. So it's nice to see that crossover into films. Very cool stuff. I would actually like to see In the sequel, I'd like to see Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man make a cameo appearance, maybe Peter Parker taking pictures or something like that. That would be really cool. But it's a lot of fun. Again, this is nothing cerebral. It's a big popcorn film, and the commercials, the trailers don't do this film justice. They make it seem so big and actiony, and it is, but all the battles, all those big scenes that you see in the trailers are actually at the end of the film. The bulk of this film is the team coming together and the character development, because none of them get along. Their egos are too big, and it's just the growing pains of them becoming a team. And that's really what makes this film so much fun. Prometheus. This is the sort of prequel to Alien with Ridley Scott. It's just really good film. I do like this movie. It's very grand, very epic in feel and size, and essentially it's based on the space jockey that we see in the first Alien film when they discover the aliens. And these people are going to try to find they call them engineers in this movie, and they're trying to find them and see how they're related and all that kind of stuff. And we really kind of see the development of the alien xenomorph monster, I guess you could call it. We see it kind of develop through this film as it goes, and it's just a very well done film. It's a thriller. It's not quite the same thriller as, I think, the first Alien film, but is definitely a thriller on what's going on, what's happening. It is epic. It's very good. Charlize Theron did an amazing job in the movie. Michael Fassbender, oh wow. He plays the android David in this film, and he is great. He plays this character soullessly. I mean, there's some spots where you think he's kind of evil, but he's really just following orders. He has no morals. He has no human values, and it truly, truly shows in this film. He did a great job with him, and it's so dramatically different than his version of Magneto in the X-Men First Class film, and it just really showed me what a great actor he is. 3D in this film, really nice, just makes it really large, in-depth. I can't say really much bad about this film. It is a good all-round film. Just in time for the 50th anniversary of James Bond comes Skyfall. The James Bond film franchise, been around for 50 years. The character obviously older. This film, just to put that in perspective, folks, this film franchise has been around half as long as films have. I mean, cinema has only been around just over a century, and James Bond movies have been around for half of that time. Absolutely amazing. This film is probably, in my opinion, one of the best in the film series. I'm a huge Daniel Craig fan. I loved Casino Royale. Quantum of Solace was good, but it wasn't as good as Casino Royale. Skyfall definitely steps up to that mark, if not takes a step over. It is the best-selling James Bond film in the entire franchise. It is the #1 film ever in the United Kingdom, which I find awesome. But it's all around just amazing. And it's a simple, I think what makes this movie really good, it's a simple plot. It's about revenge. And that took me for surprise, because I was expecting Skyfall to be some big, huge conspiracy, the shadow organization, criminal organization with some big epic plot or something going on, or Skyfall being some big government plot thing, and it's not. Okay, so spoiler alert here if you haven't seen it. Skyfall is basically the estate, the farm estate that James Bond grew up on. He takes the whole thing is the bad guy in this movie, who is probably the creepiest Bond villain ever. He was a 00 agent at one point in time, and Judi Dench's gave the order to kill the guy off, let him die. So he wants revenge, and he's going after her, and James is trying to protect her, and he takes her out to Scotland to this Moorish estate, and that's kind of where the final stand with all that kind of stuff is. And we get a transition to a new M because Judi Dench ends up dying, which I knew that going into the film that this was going to be her last one. We get introduced to a new Q. So all in all, there's great nods to the original. He actually has the original Aston Martin that Sean Connery's character used, and they make some other jokes about exploding pins and things like that. So lots of great nods to the other Bond films. Great movie, great Bond film. Probably, I gotta say, one of the best films. It is the number 2 best film I have seen this year, and there's only one other film that beat it for me. And my number 1 favorite film of 2012 is going to go to The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, which is no surprise. If you know me, I'm a huge geek. The follow-up trilogy, the first of 3 from Peter Jackson of The Lord of the Rings, and this is based off of the original novel from J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit. And I personally always liked The Hobbit better than I did the Lord of the Rings books, because it is a lot simpler. And I think, that kind of goes back with the James Bond film. The simple plots, I believe, make for better films because you can focus more on the character and what's going on. And that's a downfall with the Lord of the Rings. There's so much going on. It gets kind of diluted. So many characters, so much development, and so much plot happening. It's almost too much. And I had that issue with the books, and I still kind of do. They're good books, don't get me wrong. I love them, but I think the simpler the story, the better it is to tell. And that's what I really love about this film. And it's a film of the dwarves going to get their gold back from the dragon. And they really pull it off. Of course, they add some things into it to tie it to the Lord of the Rings and the Fellowship of the Ring and all that kind of stuff. And that's not surprising. I can see them doing that. And it's kind of the stuff that we don't see Gandalf talking about, because he leaves a lot in the book. And so I kind of attribute it to that. They did do some creative things with it, like with the goblins that chase him into the pine trees and they're on fire. That group of goblins has their own particular story going after Thorin and his family from the past. So that was kind of an interesting twist on there. It just wasn't some random goblins and all that kind of stuff, as it was in the films, or I'm sorry, the book. But all in all, I really liked it. It looked good. It looked phenomenal in 3D. Went to see it in 3D. Looks great. I did not see it in the new frame format that did not play here in Indiana, but that's okay because I didn't hear too many good things about it. If you did see it in the new frame rate, I think was it the 48 frame rate? What did you think of it? Well, what were your opinions of that film in that frame rate? I saw it in the 24 frame 3D IMAX. So, and it just absolutely amazing. Looked great. It really kind of felt more like it starts out right at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, right before the events that happened at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring. And Fellowship was always my favorite of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It has the Shire and a kind of a Hobbit type feel to get you into the whole Lord of the Rings setup. And this movie, obviously being the original, it's going to capture that, and it is faithful to the book. There is a lot of great nods to the original book. In fact, they sing the songs that were poems in the books. The chip the glasses and crack the plates. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. I love how they kind of turn that into a Scottish drinking song. It's just really nice, really cool. There are some things that kind of, my biggest gripes, I think, are a few of the dwarves don't look like dwarves. Like Thorin Oakenshield does not look like a dwarf at all. Killy and Philly just do not look like dwarves. And I know they're trying to make them different, but they went too far. They just look like humans. At least give them a bigger nose, something. I didn't particularly care for that. The other dwarves look fantastic. It's just those two human-looking of dwarves just really don't cut it for me. They look more like men or maybe elves or something. I don't know. They just don't look dwarvish. But aside from that, absolute great film. It's a long one, and we got a great clip of Star Trek Into Darkness in front of it at the IMAX, which was unexpected for me. No pun intended. I thought it was going to be a trailer, and it turned out to be an extended sequence. So that was really nice and really cool. But definitely, they saved the best for the last, at the end of the year. Of course, Peter Jackson likes to release these right before Christmas, and we have 2 more coming out. So it's nice to go back to the Shire, back to the world of The Hobbit, and visit those characters and visit that world yet again. So, yeah, there it is. That's it, guys. The movies of 2012. What did you think? What movies did you like? What movies didn't you like? Leave a comment. Create your own video post. Add it as a response to this one. I'd love to hear what you thought of the films of 2012. And look for more videos in the future, including films that are going to be due out in 2013. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe.